Shalom, brothers and sisters. You may be seated. Is everyone rejoicing on this great Sabbath day? Praise Yahweh. So, today I'm going to be, we're going to have a short video clip on the increase of knowledge as far as the rockets. And if you haven't went down there to see the rocket with the Constantine sword, I encourage you to do so. And look at the detail in everything down there, because that was the increase of knowledge through this 100-year time period. But real quick, before the video plays, pay close attention to the warheads on the rocket and see if you notice something that's there, and I'll point it out after. But the top part of the missile, just watch every one of them and pay attention to what's on them. And there's something particular that you'll see. So with that, go ahead and play the video.
I'm Chet Huntley at a launching site where Army missiles stand ready around the clock every day of the year. I should like to report to you on the Army's great progress in the field of rockets and missiles, and show you the results of the teamwork effected between the Army and great names in industry in producing these modern weapons of warfare.
Modern missiles with their impressive capabilities are a technological achievement that has come along within the short space of the last 50 years. It was 1926 when Dr. Robert H. Goddard, the father of rocketry, fired the first liquid fuel rocket and thus demonstrated the techniques that later put man on the moon. His achievement at that time caused barely a ripple of interest in the United States. But 7 years later, in 1933, during their air power buildup, the Germans began secret experiments with liquid fuel as a propellant for military missiles. In 1944, the extent of German rocket development became apparent when they unleashed the results of their liquid fuel missile experiments. The V-2, a non-air breathing ballistic missile. It traveled 3,300 miles an hour, unseen and unexpected. Extensive work was accomplished during World War II with the result that by 1945-1946, the Air Force began contracting for studies on ballistic missiles and intermediate and intercontinental ballistic missiles by launching the first two-stage liquid propellant missile. The vehicle, a combination of a first-stage V-2 and a second-stage Whack Corporal, reached a record altitude of about 250 miles. During the late 40s, the Air Force began experimenting with subsonic air-breathing rocket-boosted cruise missiles, such as the TM-61 Matador. The first experimental Matador flight was in 1949. It soon became the first U.S. Air Force tactical missile. The Mace then appeared as a follow-on vehicle to the Matador. It was a low-level attack missile. In 1946, development began on the Snark, an air-breathing intercontinental rocket-boosted missile. Planned as a long-range subsonic weapon, the Snark eventually became a stopgap until intercontinental ballistic missiles, or ICBMs, became available. Tests with the Snark began in 1950 and continued through 5,000-mile flights in the late 1950s. In the early 1950s, a technological breakthrough made lighter, smaller, more powerful nuclear warheads possible. To launch an existing warhead would have required an ICBM so large that the technology of the time could not produce the required engine. The Air Force assigned the highest priority to the development of smaller, more powerful nuclear weapons and began one of the most ambitious military projects ever undertaken in the U.S. By 1958, the Air Force was able to begin construction of operational liquid propellant ballistic missiles. But the missile development program did not stop. Work began immediately on the advanced three-stage Minuteman missile. Although the range of the Minuteman was similar to that of the Atlas and Titan, it was a simplified, lower-cost missile. It became the first solid propellant strategic missile in the Air Force. It gave the Air Force the world's major nuclear deterrent force. It became a prime element in the Triad, a combined force composed of ICBM missiles, manned bombers, and the underwater sea-launched solid propellant Polaris and Poseidon missiles developed by the U.S. Navy. This missile and bomber retaliatory force will be maintained for the future with the addition of advanced missiles and supersonic bombers.
And here is a current concept on the relationship between artillery and missiles.
In today's rapidly changing concepts of tactical warfare, battlefield commanders know there is a need for both conventional artillery and missiles. Conventional artillery has the advantage of superiority in rate of fire. That means artillery can fire more shells faster to provide close fire support accuracy for the attacking infantrymen and armor. Also, conventional artillery fire is cheaper and can react more quickly to battlefield targets of opportunity, targets which suddenly appear and may soon disappear if not clobbered. Most missiles, however, have two decisive advantages over conventional artillery weapons. They are destructive power and range. They are destructive power and range. With few exceptions, missiles can deliver atomic warheads. Missiles can deliver atomic warheads. And one missile warhead can have the demolition effect of hundreds or even thousands of conventional artillery shells. As for range, the farthest reach of conventional artillery, like this 175 millimeter gun, is about 20 miles. Whereas Army missiles, such as the Pershing, can hurl their warheads at targets hundreds of miles away. So you see, not only can they cover much wider sectors of the front, but can also go far deeper into the enemy rear to destroy troop, equipment, and supply concentrations, as well as other important tactical targets.
Okay, so remember what was brought out about the computer. How that computer kicked off all of these things. And the submarines. And notice how they said the stealth bombers. The B-2, which was brought out last feast. See how they're gearing up for war? Everything is aimed towards war. Now, let me tell you real quick what occurred yesterday. Pastor called the worker and he said, we need to build a Constantine sword for the top of the rocket. So we assembled a crew of men to deal with it, and they built the sword, and Pastor said, let's paint it all red. And I said, okay, we'll get it done. So we painted it all red, and then we went back and painted the blade silver. Well, several hours later, we started work on this video, and if you noticed on the rocket, on one of the first two-stage intercontinental ballistic missiles, I don't know if you can see it, but can everyone see that cross, that red cross there at the top? That was afterwards. We didn't look at this and say, okay, we're going to put a red cross on our rocket out here. This was afterwards. 3 hours after we had got done, we had seen this picture, and these things aren't coincidence. They just don't, it isn't, they just kind of occur. These are planned incidents, and I'm going to get into some more here, but real quick, I want to read Isaiah 5, verse 20. And this is what they think when they put a cross on a warhead like that. Woe to those who call evil righteousness and righteousness evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who puts bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. They think that this is a righteous thing right here, this missile. Now, like I said, this is one of the first intercontinental ballistic missiles right here, a two-stage. This was before the Minuteman missile. But these things, you notice how they talked about the triad. The triad. They control the nuclear dominance with those three things. The submarines, remember what was brought out about the submarines, carrying 16 nuclear warheads. The B-2, able to destroy whole countries. And that's just a little bit of what they had. But let me show you this next picture it was taken. This was taken May the 1st at 7:59. Okay, this is a picture of our rocket before it was finished. We were still painting it and stuff. And someone took the picture. They were going to make a video out of it. And then they noticed, and you can see it right here, 3 a.m. And they showed it to us last night, and a bunch of us said, well, wait a minute. There's not just a 3 a.m. there. There's also a person praying right here. See how he's got both of his hands there? He's got his head bowed. Up here, there's a little SS. There's faces all across the front of this 3 a.m., right across here. These are all faces. There's 5 of them right here. Oop, drawing on here. There's a bunch of faces up in this corner. Down here, there's more letters. We haven't had time to go through it all yet, but Yahweh is showing us that this war is going to be brought about. And you know, all the countries, you have the United States gearing up for war, Britain's gearing up for war, China's getting ready to go to war, Japan, Israel's wanting to go at Syria, Russia's defending Syria, saying if you come in here, we're going to defend Syria. They're escorting their battleships across the seas. Huge armies, battleships that are able to destroy the earth. So this war is going to take place. Pay attention to the news that's going to be brought out today, because this ties in with everything that is going to be brought out here in a little bit with the news. So with this, I just want to encourage you, go down there, look at the rocket, look at everything that's going on down there, look at the wagon, and pay attention to the detail of it and how they built the things. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the future priest, Jacob, for prayer.